Are you tired of waking up already behind? Before you even open your eyes, the weight is there. The pressure, the things you didn't finish yesterday, the things already waiting for you today. You reach for your phone, and the day starts talking to you before you are ready to listen. You feel rushed, and you haven't even stood up yet. That feeling follows you. It sits in the back of your mind while you eat breakfast. It makes you short with the people you love. It fills your commute with noise. It makes the end of the day feel like you ran a race you never agreed to enter. And then it happens again tomorrow. There is a woman named Maya. She is a mother of 2 children. She works full-time. For years, she woke up every morning feeling exactly like that. Tired before the day began, reactive, already behind. Until she made one small change. She started waking up 45 minutes before anyone else in her home. Not to work, not to clean the kitchen, not to answer messages, just to have a moment that was fully hers. Before the noise, before the demands, before the world told her what to think about. Maya didn't have more time than you. She didn't have fewer responsibilities. She had the same 24 hours. She just decided to own the first one. That one decision didn't just change her mornings, it changed who she became. We will come back to Maya, but right now I want to ask you something. What if the reason your days feel so hard has nothing to do with how busy you are? What if it has everything to do with how you begin? This lesson is for English learners who want mornings that mean something, because how you start your morning is not just a routine. It is a signal. It tells your mind and your body what kind of person you are and what kind of day you are about to have. And that signal is sent in the very first hour after you wake up. The first hour is the most valuable hour you have, not because it sounds good to say, because science supports it, because psychology confirms it, because every person who has ever built something real knows it. Win the morning. Win the day. In this lesson, I will show you exactly why that is true. You will understand what happens inside your brain in those first 60 minutes. You will see why most people lose their day before breakfast, and you will have 6 clear lessons to carry with you starting tomorrow. If you are serious about changing your mornings, subscribe right now. There is more coming, and you don't want to miss it. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Most people don't lose the day at noon. They lose it at 6 in the morning. Think about what most people do the moment their alarm goes off. They pick up their phone. They check their messages. They see someone's highlight reel on social media. They read something that makes them worried or angry or anxious. And all of that happens before they have had a single cup of coffee. Here's the truth. The moment you pick up your phone in the morning, you have given control of your mind to someone else, to a news headline, to a notification, to a stranger's opinion. Your morning, which could have been yours, is now shaped by whatever the world decided to send you last night. This is what it means to live reactively. A reactive person wakes up to the world's agenda. A proactive person wakes up to their own. You grab your phone. You read something stressful. You scroll through other people's lives. And by the time you stand up, your mind is already scattered in 10 different directions. This is not a small problem. Your brain in those first 30 minutes is like wet concrete. Whatever touches it first leaves a mark. If the first thing you give your attention to is worry, your brain carries that feeling into the next hour and the one after that. There is a man named Jocko Willink. He is a former Navy SEAL and one of the most disciplined people alive. Every morning he wakes up at 4:30 a.m. Every single morning. And every morning he takes a photo of his watch and posts it online. Not to show off, to prove something to himself. To say, I was here. I chose this. Before the world woke up, I had already started. Jocko doesn't do this because it is easy. He does it because he knows what happens to the person who lets the morning control them. There is also a woman named Mel Robbins. She wrote about something she calls the 5-second rule. When your alarm goes off and your mind says, "Not yet," you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you get up. You don't negotiate. You don't give your brain time to find a reason to stay in bed. You move, because the longer you wait, the stronger the pull to stay becomes. Most people believe they are not morning people. They believe the snooze button is a kindness they are giving themselves. But every time you press snooze, you are not getting more rest. You are practicing the habit of giving up on yourself. First thing in the morning, before the day has asked anything of you. The reactive morning is not just about phones and alarm clocks. It is about who is in charge. It is about whether you begin the day as someone who responds or someone who decides. Tomorrow morning your alarm will go off, and that moment, right when you open your eyes, is a question. What is your answer going to be? Lesson 2. Your body gives you a gift every morning. Most people throw it away. Here is something your body does automatically, whether you know about it or not. In the 30 minutes after you wake up, your brain releases a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is not a stress hormone in the way most people think. In the morning, it is your body's natural alarm system. It raises your energy. It sharpens your focus. It prepares your mind to think clearly and act with purpose. Scientists call this the cortisol awakening response. And it is one of the most powerful windows of mental clarity your body creates all day. Listen carefully. What you do inside that window determines what kind of day you are going to have. When you use that window to scroll through social media, your brain receives hundreds of small pieces of information, most of them emotionally charged. Your cortisol, instead of being used for focus and creation, gets used for reaction, for processing, for comparison. The gift is wasted before you even notice it was there. But when you protect that window, something different happens. Your brain has space. It can think its own thoughts. It can solve problems. It can move toward what matters to you instead of toward what matters to someone else. You can use this hour to scroll. You can use this hour to worry. Or you can use this hour to build the version of yourself you keep promising to become. The choice is yours. But the window doesn't stay open forever. A consumer starts the morning by looking at what others created. A builder starts by creating something of their own. A man named Robin Sharma spent years studying the habits of the most successful people in the world. He noticed that nearly all of them shared one thing. They protected the first hour of their day as if their life depended on it. Sharma wrote about what he calls the 20-20-20 formula. The idea is beautifully simple. Divide the first 60 minutes of your morning into 3 equal parts. Spend 20 minutes moving your body. Spend 20 minutes in quiet reflection, writing, or sitting with your own thoughts. Spend 20 minutes reading or learning something new. 20-20-20. That's it. No complicated system, no expensive routine, just 3 decisions you make before the rest of the world wakes up. Sharma's point is not that this formula is magic. His point is that the first hour is too important to spend without intention. Most people hand that hour to the world without a second thought. The most effective people treat it like an appointment they can't cancel. Your cortisol peak will happen whether you plan for it or not. Your brain will be at its clearest in those first 30 to 60 minutes, whether you are ready or not. The question is not whether the window opens, it always opens. The question is whether you walk through it. Win the morning. Win the day. That is not just something nice to say. It is a description of how the brain actually works. The morning sets the tone. The tone shapes the mood. The mood shapes every decision that follows. You have been given this gift every single morning of your life. Tomorrow, what are you going to do with it? Lesson 3. One good decision before sunrise makes every decision after it easier. Here is something most people don't realize about energy. Your mental energy, the kind you use to make decisions, is not unlimited. Every choice you make, big or small, uses a little of it. By the afternoon, many people feel tired, not because their body is exhausted, but because their mind has been making decisions since the moment they woke up. Psychologists call this decision fatigue. And your morning is where it begins, or where it is prevented. When you wake up with no plan and no structure, your brain has to decide everything: what to wear, what to eat, what to do first, what to do next. Each small decision takes something from you. And the more you spend in the morning on small things, the less you have for the things that truly matter later. But when you build a simple morning routine, something changes. Your brain no longer has to decide the small things. It already knows. And that saved energy becomes available for the work, the conversations, and the choices that actually shape your life. Now think about this. Every morning you wake up with a full tank, a fresh mind, the clearest thinking you will have all day. The question is not whether that tank is full. It is always full in the morning. The question is what you choose to spend it on first. There is a man named Tim Cook. He is the CEO of Apple, one of the most important companies in the world. Cook wakes up at 3:45 in the morning, every day. One of the first things he does is read messages from the people who use Apple products. Real people sharing real experiences. He does this before any meeting, before any decision, before the day has a chance to pull him in 100 different directions. Cook doesn't do this because he has to. He does it because he understands something that most people learn too late. The person who leads their morning leads their day. If you make your bed, you start the day with a small win. If you move your body even for 10 minutes, you remind yourself that you are capable. If you sit in silence for 5 minutes before you check your phone, you remember who you are before the world tells you who to be. These are not complicated actions, but they are the first domino. When one domino falls, it creates enough energy to knock down the next one. A small morning win builds momentum. That momentum carries you into the next hour and the next. By noon, you are not the same person who pressed snooze at 6 a.m. You are someone who has already proven something to themselves. The first domino doesn't fall on its own. You have to push it. Every morning. And the beautiful thing is this. The domino is always there, waiting. Every single morning, no matter what happened yesterday, you get another chance to push it. If this is changing the way you see your mornings, hit subscribe right now. There is more coming, and the next lessons go even deeper. Don't miss them. Lesson 4. Waking up early is not just a habit, it is a vote. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. And the first vote of the day happens the moment your alarm goes off. Think about someone who wants to be more disciplined. They decide to wake up at 5 a.m. They set their alarm. They feel good about the decision. They go to sleep feeling ready. Then the alarm goes off and they press snooze. The next night they set the alarm again. They feel determined again. The next morning they press snooze again. This happens for a week, a month. Some people live this cycle for years. They set the alarm every night and press snooze every morning. They have the intention of a disciplined person, but they keep voting against it one morning at a time. Here's the truth. The problem is not the alarm. The problem is not the cold room or the warm bed. The problem is that waking up early has not yet become part of who they believe they are. This is the difference between trying to build a habit and anchoring that habit to your identity. When you tell yourself, I am trying to wake up early, you are describing a behavior. When you tell yourself, I am someone who keeps their word to themselves, you are describing a person, and people act in line with who they believe they are. 99% of people let the first hour happen to them. 1% make the first hour happen for them. Every morning you wake up early, you vote. Every morning you press snooze, you vote. The person you are becoming is simply the result of how you have been voting. This does not mean you have to be perfect. One missed morning is not a failure. But a missed morning where you lie to yourself and say, I'll do better tomorrow without changing anything, that is where the problem quietly grows. Win the morning. Win the day. Winning the morning is not something you do once and then own forever. You win it on Monday. You win it again on Tuesday. On the hard days. On the tired days. On the days when everything in you says it doesn't matter. The identity is not built in one morning. It is built in the pattern, and the pattern begins with a single decision. Not the decision to set the alarm. Not the decision to buy a nicer journal or find the perfect playlist. The decision to tell yourself a new story about who you are. You are someone who keeps their first promise of the day. Someone who wakes up before the world asks you to. Say that tonight before you close your eyes. Then prove it true when the alarm goes off tomorrow. Lesson 5. Before you speak to the world, speak to yourself. We live in a time where silence feels uncomfortable. Where the first thing most people do when things go quiet is reach for something to fill it. A podcast, a song, a video, anything to avoid the strange feeling of being alone with their own mind. But here is what that habit is costing you. Your brain, when it first wakes up, is not ready for input. It has just moved from sleep to wakefulness, and it needs a few minutes to settle. When you immediately fill it with sound and information, you skip that transition entirely. You move from sleep to stimulation with no space in between. And that space is where your clearest thoughts live. Stay with me. Imagine this. It is 5 a.m. The house is still dark. Everyone else is asleep. You are sitting with something warm in your hands. There is no sound except the small ones. A clock. Your own breath. The quiet of a world that hasn't started yet. In that silence, your mind begins to do something it almost never gets to do during the day. It begins to settle, to sort, to hear itself. There was a man who understood this deeply. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He was the emperor of Rome, one of the most powerful leaders in human history. And every morning, before he faced his empire before the decisions and the weight of ruling millions of people, he sat alone and wrote. Not to anyone else, to himself. The words he wrote in those quiet morning hours became what we now call the Meditations. Nearly 2,000 years later, people still read them. Not because Aurelius was trying to say something great, but because in the silence of his mornings he was thinking clearly enough to find something true. He was not avoiding the world by sitting in silence. He was preparing for it. Silence is not doing nothing. Silence is not being lazy. Silence is the most powerful thing you can give your mind before the noise of the day begins. A weak habit says, I will think about myself tomorrow when I have more time. A strong habit says, I will take 10 minutes this morning because I know I won't have them later. You don't need a journal. You don't need a special routine or a meditation app. You just need to sit and let your mind be quiet for a few minutes before you ask it to perform. In that silence, try asking yourself one simple question. How do I want to show up today? Not a long list, not a plan, just one question. Then wait. Most people never ask themselves that question. They let the day decide who they are going to be. But the people who ask it and sit quietly long enough to hear the answer, those are the ones who move through their days with something the rest of us are always searching for. Direction. Clarity. A quiet sense of knowing where they are going, even when the day gets loud. The morning is not just a time of day. It is a conversation between you and yourself. Give it a few minutes of silence. You might be surprised by what you hear. Lesson 6. The alarm goes off. This is the moment. Everything we have talked about leads here. Every lesson, every idea, every truth you agreed with while sitting comfortably. It all comes down to this one moment. The room is dark. The bed is warm. Your body says no. Your mind says 5 more minutes. This is the resistance. Every single morning, without exception, it shows up. It doesn't care how motivated you felt the night before. It doesn't care about the promises you made to yourself. It is just there every morning, doing its job, pulling you back, keeping you still. And your answer to the resistance is the most important answer you will give all day. Pause for 1 second. I want to tell you about a man named Daniel. 3 years ago, Daniel lost his job. Not because he did something wrong. The company simply closed. In 1 week, the structure of his entire day disappeared. No alarm, no schedule, no reason to get up. For 2 months, Daniel slept until 9, 10, sometimes noon. And every time he woke up late, the first feeling was not rest. It was shame. The shame made him feel worse. And feeling worse made it harder to get up the next morning. Then, one day he set his alarm for 5 a.m. Not because he had somewhere to be, not because anyone told him to, because he needed to prove something to himself, that he still could. The first morning was hard. The second was harder. But by the 3rd week, something had shifted. The 5 a.m. alarm had become the one part of his day that no one could take from him. His job was gone, his confidence was low. But this 1 hour, this quiet, dark, early hour, was his. Slowly, the confidence came back. Not from a new opportunity or a lucky break. From one simple daily proof that he was still capable of choosing himself. If your bed is warm, get up anyway. If your body is tired, get up anyway. If your mind says 5 more minutes, get up anyway. Because the resistance is not telling you the truth. It is telling you a story, and you get to decide whether you believe it. A victim of the day says the morning was too hard. An owner of the day says the morning was the most important part. Win the morning, win the day. That is Daniel's story now. He didn't win it with grand gestures or perfect weeks. He won it 1 alarm at a time, 1 quiet morning at a time. 1 small proof given to himself that he was still the kind of person who kept their word. The world will take everything from you that you don't protect. Your time, your energy, your attention, your mornings. Protect your morning. That is the lesson. That is the whole lesson. You already know what to do. The only question now is whether you are going to do it. We have come a long way together this morning. Let me bring it back to where we started. There is a woman named Maya, a mother, a full-time worker, a person who used to begin every day already behind, already tired, already pulled in every direction but her own. She didn't find a miracle. She didn't discover a secret that no one else has access to. She simply started waking up 45 minutes before her family did. She protected that time. She made it hers. And slowly those 45 minutes became the anchor of her whole life. Not just her mornings, her relationships, her patience, her sense of who she was. The mornings didn't just change her days, they changed her. That is what we have been talking about today. 6 lessons, 6 truths. Each one simple, each one real. That most people lose their day before it begins by handing their mind to the world the moment they open their eyes. That your body creates a window of peak clarity every morning, and what you do inside it matters. That one small win before sunrise creates momentum that carries you through every hour that follows. That waking up early is not just a behavior, it is a vote for the person you are choosing to become. That silence is not empty, it is where your clearest thinking lives. And that the resistance will come every morning without fail, and your answer to it is the most important answer you will give all day. You don't have to change everything at once. You don't have to wake up at 5 tomorrow if you have never tried before. Start with 10 minutes earlier, then 20. Build the identity before you demand the perfection, but start. Because every morning that passes without intention is a morning you cannot get back. And every morning you choose yourself, even for one quiet hour, is a morning that adds up to something larger than you can see right now. Win the morning. Win the day. Keep listening daily and your mind will grow with your day. Before you go, I want to ask you something. What is the first thing you do when you wake up? Tell me in the comments. Be honest. No judgment here, just truth. Because the first step to changing something is being willing to look at it clearly. Thank you for spending this hour with me. Go protect your morning. It is waiting for you.